there's a little piece of my lineaire sitting here from one of the last videos I filmed. Okay. Hi and hello. Welcome back to another Planty video. Thank you so much for joining me. So today we're going to be talking about some of my favorites. I don't want to say drought tolerant because that sounds too extreme, but plants that can handle a little bit of an underwatering. Okay, so these are my plants that I don't worry about if I'm behind on watering, if I miss a watering, if I'm out of town. They're just very stress-free, and I am a certified underwaterer. Well, I have been for the past like 5 years. Only since I got my electric waterer have I been less of an underwaterer, and that, I mean, I've had that for, I don't know, 6 months or something maybe. Absolutely love it. Has totally changed the game. But prior to that, and even still sometimes, like I'm not always 100% on top of my plant chores. So I do still underwater some of my plants. And yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I have experience with underwatering pretty much every single houseplant I've ever grown. So I know which ones have really not been happy with that and have been really dramatic. One of my plants that is super dramatic right now is my Solanum oleanum. That thing hates to be underwatered. She was just wilting the other day and I had to go and give her an emergency drink. So yeah, some of them definitely can't handle it, but there are a lot of houseplants that can. So I'm hoping that, I'm hoping that in today's video I can help give you some options if you're looking for something that is a little bit less picky with when you choose to water it. And I want to be giving options that aren't just, you know, cactus, succulents, because although those are wonderful options, I mean, I do think succulents are a little bit more thirsty. Like a lot of them like to be watered more often than maybe people think. That's a whole other story. But yeah, I want to give you some options that are not just like a cactus, you know? Okay, so the first plant on my list is the asparagus fern, and when I grabbed this to talk about it in this video, I was thinking about how this is one of the most whimsical houseplants. Like it just, I don't know, it looks so dreamy, the way it is just so wispy and delicate. And I actually just made a post the other day on Instagram about whimsical houseplants. And I was like, why didn't I include this one? I don't know. Sometimes I forget about it because it lives in the bedroom on my nightstand. It totally escaped me. But yeah, this is just such a stunning, delicate, fairy-like plant. If you're looking for something that gives that vibe, I definitely recommend checking out the asparagus fern. You can find these for less than $5 at the big box store. And in my experience, this is a super, super easy plant to care for. It's obviously on this list because it has handled many underwaterings. And the main reason that this plant gets underwatered is because it sits on my nightstand in this pot. And this pot drains through the like crack in the saucer right here. So it does have drainage, but I don't have this sitting on any other saucer. So I either don't water this or I just water it like a tiny bit because I'm always too lazy to actually pick this up from my nightstand and take it to the sink and give it a proper watering. I know that's not good. I should be taking better care of it, but I'm just being completely honest. That's often what I end up doing because I don't want to create a big mess. I don't want to water it so much that water's like coming out onto my nightstand, obviously. So yeah, it has been quite severely underwatered since I've had it over the past couple of years, but it still just looks so fantastic. It handles underwatering like a champ. You will get some, like if you really underwater this, like I think I underwatered this really badly in the fall and got a bunch of like brown yellow fronds down here, but I just removed those and yeah, the plant was fine, continued to grow, continued to fill out. This is just such a fun one, even the way it grows. This is a new frond that's coming in and it starts off just as like a long strand and then it will slowly push out the branches. So you can see the little branches just starting out and then that will turn into, you know, something like this with like the developed branches coming off the middle strand. Ouch, it is spiky though, so you have to be careful. This has like literal thorns on it and I don't ever hear people talk about that, so watch out for the thorns if you have this one. This used to have its own little halo grow light that I had in the pot that would give this light, and it loved that. And it was such like, it was just a cheap light that I got on Amazon. It was just such an easy setup. This is a pot I got at Home Depot. The plant I got at Canadian Tire, I think. And then yeah, I just had like a $10 or $20 grow light popped in it. And it also doubled as a bedside lamp. It was just perfect. But I recently took that light out. I think I took it out because I was watering it, like actually watering it at the sink. This was probably like a couple months ago, and then I put it back and I just completely forgot to put the light back in, and I just have left it out since then, and it's been doing fine, just kind of getting ambient light from the Soltech light that's above. It's hard to describe unless you know the setup, if you've watched like my walkthroughs or anything. But yeah, long story short, this is a really easy care plant, and I think it's just super unique. In, you know, as far as houseplants go, like I feel like this is just really different than a lot of houseplants that we grow. Really love the vibe. This is, even though it's called the asparagus fern, it's actually not a type of fern, it's a type of asparagus. So it's not nearly as finicky as a fern, but it has the fern look. So if you're looking for something that has this delicate, soft, kind of like frilly, fern-like feel to it, definitely consider the asparagus fern. Oh yeah, also, I have Valentine's nails this week. Isn't that so fun? They're all different colors. I broke this thumb off. Anyways, okay, the next plant on my list is the philodendron orange marmalade, also known as autumn queen, also known as quad color or something like that. But it's basically this philodendron that has really pretty, almost like yellowy, orangey variegation. Yeah, I guess it is variegation on the leaves. Pretty similar to the philodendron painted lady, which is a little bit more common than this one. And the new leaves come out this bright orange color, which is where it gets its name. I hope that you can see that. It's hard to get this. Maybe I can move the table out of the way, actually. Oh yeah, that'll be better. Sorry, Olive. Okay, there we go. There's a closer look of that orange leaf and maybe the coloration on the hardened off leaves. This is a climbing philodendron, as you can see, and this one is on the Rousseau pole mount, so it hangs on my wall. And because it is hanging on my wall, it gets frequently underwatered. Like if there is a plant that's going to be underwatered, it's probably going to be this pole, just because it's not even the one that's easier for me to grab. I have two poles hanging there. One I can grab pretty easily, but the second one I usually have to go up on a stool to grab it. Not usually, I do have to go up on a stool to grab this now because it's gotten heavier and it's like just out of my reach kind of thing. So yeah, because of that, it gets underwatered. And this philodendron is such a champ. Like you would never know. Sometimes it's sitting up there bone dry for days and it does not even wilt. It is just so tough, so easygoing, and incredibly beautiful. Even though I've abused it so much, it's still just like nothing. It doesn't do anything to complain. It doesn't drop leaves. It doesn't get pests. Like it's just a very, very tolerant plant. Definitely can handle a serious underwatering. And I find that there are a lot of philodendron that are like this leaf, this shiny kind of leaf type that can handle underwatering. Another one that I've had in the past is the philodendron narrow or jungle boogie. Oh, I miss that plant. I loved it so much. That was such a fun one to grow. It has such a big footprint because the leaves like shoot out and they're so long that I just couldn't accommodate it anymore. So we gave that one away a while ago, but maybe my older viewers will remember that plant. But yeah, it was fantastic. And that one you could really underwater as well. So philodendron narrow, that's a really fun one. If you have the space for it, I highly recommend. If I had a spot to put it, I would definitely still have it in my collection because it's just so gorgeous. And there's different varieties of that plant as well. There's like, is it called golden crocodile or something? But there's like the neon version of that one, which is so pretty. I love it. Maybe one day I'll have that plant back in my collection. But yeah, it was just such an easygoing philodendron that I didn't have to worry about. I didn't have to worry about if I missed a watering, which was super nice. It's the velvety philodendron that will cause me troubles if I underwater them, especially if they're like pushing out a new leaf or anything. But these shinier types are really, really great, easy care options. Even like philodendron billietiae, that's another one that could really handle an underwatering when I had it in my collection. Really good one, but again, it just outgrew. Like I did not have anywhere to put it. So yeah, if you want a philodendron, and mine is on a moss pole, which does dry out, but you know, the idea of moss poles is to keep them as moist as you can, as often as you can, so that they are doing their job. But I think that this plant would honestly do fine just with the support, so I wouldn't worry about making sure you have it on a moss pole. It would enjoy a moss pole for sure, but I don't think that it's absolutely necessary. Okay, so next I need to talk about Hoya. Now Hoya, a lot of people like to really emphasize how little Hoya need to be watered, and I think that that's true for some of them, but it's also not really true at all for a lot of them. I think that in general, Hoya need more water than people think to actually keep them healthy, keep them growing, make sure those baby leaves aren't going to be falling off, and to promote blooming. But there are some that really can go quite a while and can really thrive with less water than a lot of the other ones. So I have Hoya quinquenervia here. And this is going to go for a lot of thicker leaved Hoyas like this. If you're looking for a Hoya that can handle some underwatering, absolutely do not go for anything thin leafed. Like the multiflora and the bella, I would definitely steer clear of any Hoya like that. The thinner the leaf, generally the more thirsty they will be. But if you go for something that has a really thick, like this is literally feels like a piece of cardboard. It is so stiff. If you go for something like the quinquenervia, then it is going to be able to handle a bit of a drought, honestly. This lives in my south facing window, and it often gets like literally bone dry for days because again, it's higher up. It's on my stacked window, so I have to get on a chair or get on a step stool to grab it down. So it just doesn't get as much water as some of my other plants, and also because it's not at eye level, I wouldn't necessarily notice if it was like drooping or really thirsty or something. So obviously I only put plants up there that I know can handle it. Not only is it out of reach, but because it is in a high south-facing window, it gets a lot of sun, it gets warm up there, and this Hoya honestly thrives in those conditions. I've experienced this Hoya growing incredibly well, even while it's being underwatered and even blooming. Like this thing has so many peduncles and so many flowers that are in various stages of being open. And that's even while it's not getting a ton of water. This probably is due to be repotted as well. It's just a hardy Hoya in general. I think that the quinquenervia is a really good one, but I just kind of wanted this one to represent just thicker leafed Hoyas in general are going to be able to handle an underwatering. Yeah, this is just such a great one, and I love that it flowers so often. These ones are open right here. Look how cute. If it will focus. Yeah, they're gorgeous. I hope that these videos do help give some of you ideas on plants that maybe will fit your lifestyle or your watering style or whatever you're looking for. But even if you're not looking for a plant that handles underwatering, I hope that you enjoy just talking about and looking at some of these plants with me. That's my favorite part of making these kind of sit down videos, is just choosing out the plants, showing them to you, and chatting. So the next one on my list is, oh my goodness, it is looking so gorgeous lately. This is my alocasia dragon scale. This is obviously the variegated version. This is a leaf that just unfurled about a week ago. Look how stunning that is. I absolutely love this plant. This is just going to be representing dragon scale in general. I do have the regular green dragon scale, but it is currently just a stump. So this is what's going to be filling in, and honestly, they both have very similar care in my opinion. I think a lot of alocasia actually can handle a decent amount of underwatering. Obviously not every single alocasia. A lot of them are a lot more sensitive, or again have like a thinner, kind of more delicate type of leaf. But something like the dragon scale, the maharani, the mellow, those all seem to handle a pretty hard underwatering on my end. And you know, they have this thicker, like almost like cardboardy again kind of leaf. So that is, you know, a trait that you want to look for if you want an alocasia, but you want it to be maybe a little bit more hardy and a little bit more, you want to be able to be a little bit more lenient with your waterings. This gets so bone dry, and as you can see, it is probably due, not probably, I think it is due for a repot because the roots are just wild in here. Like, it is absolutely full to the brim. I don't even remember when I potted this in here. I don't think it could have been that long ago, but maybe it was. But this is just full to the brim of roots. You can see them coming out the bottom there. So yeah, it is definitely time to get on top of that. So as you can imagine, this is thirsty pretty often because even when I water it, I feel like the water just disappears so quickly because it's so root bound. But even so, I never see this wilt. Like I hardly ever see signs of thirst in this type of alocasia. It's just very resilient. So I think that the dragon scale is a pretty good option for beginners. At least I've found the dragon scale to be really easy to grow. Like I think about growing the green one when I was fairly new to houseplants, and I didn't really have issues with it. I remember I did have issues with like the billietiae, the green Friedeck. That was also one of my first alocasia, and man, that thing could be dramatic. But the dragon scale with this thicker leaf, no, it was easy. It was a really, really good one. I will always love dragon scale. They're just so great to grow. I love that they don't demand cabinet conditions or anything like that. They're just super, super easygoing, even a beautiful variegated one like this. Okay, I had to grab my alocasia dragon's breath. Go for a dragon alocasia, folks, okay? Oh my gosh, now the sun. The sun. Wait, is this one called pink dragon? Why do all these alocasia have dragon names and I've never noticed that before? This is pink dragon, right? I'm not just making that up. This is pink dragon. I don't know if she can tolerate very much underwatering because I don't have enough experience with her yet, but the dragon's breath. I'm gonna try to back up enough so that the sun isn't gonna be completely blowing it out, but yeah, this one can really tolerate some drought as well. Again, it's a plant that I don't see a lot of like wilting or anything dramatic like that. It is just very, very hardy. We once again have like a thicker leaf, and this one is also super, super root bound. Why does that look so sketch? Why does this look so sketch? Okay, somebody mentioned root mealies the other day, and it's just been kind of on my mind, so I've been, you know, just looking at roots when I get the chance. And why is there white? Can you see all these little like white specks? It's sunny. The white specks in there. Could that be like something good, like a fungi or something? Or is that sketchy? Because I feel like I never have really seen that before. And it looks like white fuzzy stuff around the roots, but I don't see anything on the like where the roots are coming out in the bottom. And the plant seems okay. Like it's in good health. Look at that. I love this new leaf so much. That is weird. Anyways, I was gonna say that it's due for a repot, as you can see. So maybe I will have to do that sooner rather than later so I can kind of see what's going on in the root system there, because that's weird. But yeah, this is one that I wanted to mention as another alocasia option if you're looking for something a little bit hardier and that's not just going to immediately wilt and throw a fit when you miss a watering. Also, I don't know if this is like a hot take, but monstera albo, I feel like I have never seen monstera albo do anything unsavory when I've underwatered it in the past. Granted, this one is in semi-hydro right now, so it doesn't really experience drought very often because I keep this filled or try to keep it topped up at all times. It's obviously becoming due now. But I do have monstera albo, another one in soil, and I've grown monstera albo in soil over the past like 5 years, and they honestly just don't seem to care when I underwater them. Granted, if you had one that was super variegated, you would definitely want to keep consistent with your waterings. But even the one I have, it has like big sectoral chunks of half moon variegation, and that thing will get bone dry, and it's never complained. Like, it doesn't drop leaves, it doesn't wilt, it doesn't brown. So I don't know if that's just my experience with monstera albo or if other people have had the same experience. Now the monstera Thai constellation is a lot more picky when it's young. Now that mine is big, it is like one of the easiest plants in my collection. I don't even worry about it. But when it was small, it was very prone to dry rot, as many of us know. So that one, I think you have to be a lot more careful with watering when they are more juvenile. But yeah, I don't know. The monstera albo has always just been a very easy plant in my collection. So, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice that we have a new leaf emerging. Oh, how exciting. But yeah, it's just been a really easy plant and one that can definitely handle underwatering. Probably even more so for the green version. If you're looking for just, you know, if you're looking for a plant to fill a space that is big, lush, tropical vibes, green monstera deliciosa, like, you cannot go wrong with them. Okay, now I'm just grabbing random plants around me, so let's get back on track here. Okay, the dragon scale, I'm gonna go put it back in its spot now, but yeah, love her so much, and she's a beast. Like, she can tolerate a lot. Okay, I really try to give y'all some options that are not gonna be found in the typical, like, I don't know, the typical videos or the typical like online lists that are out there. So the next one that I have to talk about, maybe I'll put it on this side, is the Syngonium chiapens frosted heart, aka one of the easiest plants in my collection, one of the prettiest. Oh gosh, I hate the sun because it just, okay, sorry, dogs were barking, but the sun kind of went away, so that's good. Yes, Syngonium chiapens frosted heart. This is just in general one of the easiest plants in my collection, one of the most vigorous growers, one of the plants that can just handle a lot. After I got this, like, it had just gone through shipping. I think, what time of year was it? Maybe fall? Anyways, it had just gone through shipping and I had it for not very long yet, and I knocked it off a shelf. So it had just like acclimated from being shipped and it was fine. Like, it didn't miss a beat, it just kept growing. And then I knocked it off a shelf and it completely broke like the new growth off. So I was like, oh no, it's probably gonna throw a fit now. But it didn't. It literally just pushed out a new growth point and kept going. And now it's grown into this stunning plant. Mine is kind of like spread out facing 2 different ways because each side is going towards a different light source, I guess. This side is going towards my Rousseau light, and then the other side is going towards the Brina lights on my shelf just from where it's sitting. I would love to have this sitting in front of a window or something. Like, I should put it in front of a window for a while just to see all the leaves come and face forward together, because I think that it would look so pretty, even just to enjoy for a little bit before I put it back in its spot. But yeah, the Syngonium chiapens, chiapens, I feel like I've seen this plant called Syngonium macrophyllum frosted heart, but then also called Syngonium chiapens frosted heart. So is this actually a variety of chiapens? I don't know. Is that a lie? Maybe. But we're just gonna, I guess, call it Syngonium frosted heart so that people aren't yelling. I have mine on a moss pole, but again, I don't think it needs to be on a moss pole. I think that you could just do a stake and this would be perfectly happy. This is not a plant that is going to size up and give you massive leaves like, you know, some of these big philodendron, glorious, varicosum. Like, it's just not that type of plant. It's just going to give you these stunning heart-shaped leaves, and it's going to have tight petioles like this, so it's not going to be branching out super far from the pole, which we love. So it has a lot of really great things going for it, not to mention just the beautiful like frosted look that the leaves get. Like, it's just so pretty. I love this one so much, and it's incredibly easy care. This thing will often get bone dry. In fact, I haven't even looked at the, oh my gosh, I haven't looked in here in a long time, but it looks like we may be due for a repot as well in here. It's growing like crazy. But yeah, the soil will often get like super dry by the time I get around to topping it up, but you would never know because I've never seen this thing wilt. I've never seen it complain about anything really, and it is living in my like prime pest spot beside my alocasia friedek, who the mealybugs have just been infesting, and this plant just like is immune to pests. Not actually, but it just seems to not be as vulnerable as many of the other plants in my collection. I just love her so much. I think that this is such an underrated plant that more people need to look into. If you're looking for something that gives you just this beautiful lush foliage kind of look, that's going to be super easy care for your collection. It climbs, but it doesn't necessarily need a moss pole, and it's also not going to have a large footprint. It's just going to stay really tight vertically. Even mine is wider than it should be because the leaves are branching out in 2 different directions, but if they were all facing forward, then this would be even smaller. But yeah, I just think it's such a great plant. I love mine so much, and it's definitely a good one for underwaters. Okay, another fun option for you is the vanilla orchid. Mine is the variegated version, the outer variegated specifically, and it is so pretty. This is one that I just featured in my whimsical plants post on Instagram. I wanted to come up with a group of plants and like a theme that was, you know, kind of fun and sweet for around Valentine's, but that wasn't very obviously like Valentine's themed, you know what I mean? So anyways, that's that was the whole like concept for that whimsical plants post. But this was one that I featured because this is like the epitome of a cute fairy kind of plant. As soon as I got this, I was like, wow, this just is giving like fairy garden. It's so dainty and sweet, and I love its growth pattern. Like, it really does just look like magical. Look at how pretty it is. I love it so much. And I just noticed that, well, actually I noticed this a while ago, a few weeks ago, maybe when I did my walkthrough, my last walkthrough. Where is it? I noticed this. Wait, was it this one? I feel like it was, oh, it was this one, but it's on both multiple vines. I noticed, oh my gosh, how can I show you? This, like growth, oh gosh, that little like growth point thingy there, and it was small, so I couldn't tell if it was a growth point, so I kind of just thought it was a root, but it actually is looking like it's a growth point right there. So it looks like I'm gonna get another new vine coming out of there, and there's also one here as well. And is there on the other? I'm not sure. Anyways, there's a few different growth points coming out of here, which is great because it's finally growing again. I've been waiting. I repotted this. Let me pull it out here. I repotted this a couple of months ago into just my regular DIY mix. This is, I believe, a terrestrial orchid, so it doesn't need to be in like a special orchid mix or sphagnum moss or anything, although you can grow it in sphagnum moss. I had this in a tiny little sphagnum moss container for a lot, like years before I repotted it into this. And you can see a little root there, how cute. So it seems to be adapting well into this pot. But yeah, so I had it in that little sphagnum moss container for a long time, And the reason that I know that this does so well being underwatered is because when it was in that little sphagnum moss thing, it dried out so much. Like, it would be bone dry to the point where I was like, there's no way this plant is gonna survive, but it did, and it never complained. Like, it never wilted. These are really stiff. Like, even though they look very dainty and delicate, they're stiff leaves. So yeah, it can really take a beating, honestly. There's so many times where I was like, oh, there's no way that the roots survive that, but I would water it and it would be completely fine. So yeah, I think that this is a really fun one, and one that I don't think people would suspect to be as easy as it is, because I feel like, you know, even the name, like vanilla orchid, like, it sounds very exotic, it sounds very intimidating, but I'm here to tell you that this is an incredibly easy plant. I don't even have this growing in any special conditions. It literally just grows behind me here against this wall. It used to be in a cabinet, and it will grow great in a cabinet, but it doesn't need to be inside one. You can just have this in regular room conditions, and it's just something that is so different and fun. You can vine it different types of ways and style it in different cute ways. So yeah, I think that it is a really great option, especially for a more unique kind of houseplant that can go without a lot of water. So I think I'm gonna leave it there. I probably have a lot more. Like, I feel like a lot of my plants really can handle a good underwatering. Even some of my anthurium, like the pallidiflorum, and yeah, I feel like there's a lot of them that could be on this list, but I want to keep these videos where I'm kind of featuring a group of plants and talking about them in a more digestible size. So yeah, we'll leave it there for today, but thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed hanging out and maybe got some ideas. As always, I would love to hear your recommendations and keep the conversation going in the comments down below. So yeah, let me know what plants you have found to be really tolerant to underwatering in your experience. All right, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Try